Welcome to Fifth Dimension. So this video is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be doing a reading. I'm really just going to be talking. So I wanted to give a little life update in case certain things that I've experienced or certain revelations that I've been having lately can help or contribute to somebody else's part in their journey, and that's really the purpose of this. So if that's something that interests you, stick around. So I do want to start off by saying that the reason why I haven't been posting so much tarot readings is because there's been a lot going on, but also I'm in a place of trying to figure out where I want to go. Where do I want to take Fifth Dimension from this point on? Because a lot has changed, and I feel like I'm needing to reevaluate and readjust with all that. Okay. So I'll get started with saying that I've been dealing with what I would consider, well, I like to label it an existential reckoning. So it's sort of like, I kept on asking myself, am I having a midlife crisis? Is that what's happening? Essentially, like, to make a long story short, for a good chunk of time, maybe like a year or so, there was a big manifestation that I was trying to create, and it really included another person. So I had a person in mind who I was completely in love with and felt that it was meant to be. And there was no convincing me otherwise. Yeah. So there was a good chunk of time that I remained single because in my mind, I was like, there was no way that we were not going to end up together. And I felt strongly and was completely convinced and believed that the only reason that we were not already together was because he wasn't ready. That's what I had convinced myself. And so I had put myself in a place of essentially putting myself on hold in that way, where I wasn't attempting to date. I was just focused on what I got going on, which is a lot already, right? But like essentially not opening myself up to dating. Because in my head I was manifesting a future with this one person, so why would I? And so time was passing, and end of March, beginning of April, somewhere around there, I ended up seeing through social media that this person had a partner, was now in a new relationship, and I will consider that like the moment of impact. Because it felt like a giant comet just like crushed me. But it was confusing for me, the amount of impact that it had. I would expect to have some sort of reaction, some sort of sadness associated with that. But the way that it impacted me was different than I had ever experienced. And there was this like battle between me as far as like, this is huge. Like, your world has just shattered. And then there's this other part of me that would like loudly speak and say, nothing's changed. Literally, nothing has changed. You are still the same person that you woke up being, a single woman who has her goals, who has her ambitions, who has her responsibilities. You know what I mean? And so that part of me was just like, literally nothing's changed. It felt like this numbness overtook me, but this numbness that was surrounded by like immense like grief, if that's just the best way that I can describe it. I felt numb, I felt lost, I felt completely the most alone I've ever felt in my entire life. Then this is where I encountered a moment of feelings of like desperation. It almost felt like that was just overwhelming me. There was this energy of desperation to grasp onto something familiar, because I felt like everything familiar to me from my most recent past to like my far past even was just gone, no longer there. And like I said, it felt like a mourning, like I was mourning my old self, essentially is what it was. And there was a part of me that didn't want to accept that. There was a part of me that understood and said, nothing has changed. You're still who you are. You still have the same goals. You still have the same passions. You just keep going. One foot at a time, right? That part of me that says like, bitch, you've been through worse shit. This is nothing. And that's what I literally kept on telling myself, like, nothing has happened. This part of me wanted to feel like this horrible thing has happened to you. And this part of me was like, nothing's happened to you. Nobody's done anything to you. This person just moved on with their life. You know what I mean? I saw then very clearly how I had been reacting for the entire time out of fear, completely. All the decisions that I made were 1000% made out of fear that entire year. Not only with that, but with all of my life. With the friendships, with the channel, with the business aspect of Fifth Dimension, like all of it. I was completely, like, fear was in there, intermingled. And so that, like I said, there was like this energy of desperation that was like bubbling, and I was like, I need to find something to make this make sense, to make this like temporarily go away. And it was just an ugly place to be. But anyways, what ended up happening is I said, okay, well, I have no control over that. What can you have control of? What do you have control of? Just me, right? What do you have access to right now? Because like I said, it felt like an existential crisis. Like, my life has been changing constantly, that I don't know what's going to come. I don't know what's next for me. I don't know how long I have. And then those thoughts started to come to me. You know what I mean? Like, not wasted. I learned a lot. I grew a lot. I realized a lot. But at that moment, that's what I felt, that I had wasted a lot of time in the Lululand, or whatever the fuck you call it. And so what do I have control of today, right now, grasped within me for me to feel fulfilled, for me to feel just like I'm living my life, right? Like I'm doing, like, clearly I can't create a relationship for myself from one day to the next. That's something that takes time. That's something that has a lot of aspects and things to. So I have no control over that. But what can I do? I can put myself on a dating app. I can try to be a little bit more open to socializing, right? And put myself in places by going out and doing things like that. Those are things that I have control over, right? So that's one thing that I did. And then the other thing I did, which I mentioned in one of the pick a cards, was I got myself a pole. I call it my dragon pole, because I essentially am like a dragon dancing around, spinning. It's right behind me, by the way. It's a lot of fun, while very painful at the same time. But anyways, that is something so silly, but for me, just here, spinning around in my damn room, learning tricks that I found on YouTube, and learning them has been fun. And it, you know, like, just me embracing myself as I am today, currently, because someday I'll be, you know, some cute little old lady. But not today. And so that's essentially where I kept on trying to put myself in the moment. And the only time you can do it is in the moment. Be aware of where you're at, what you're feeling, and do what you can in the moment. So this is what I call embracing the flow. Sorry, I wrote notes here of things I want to cover. Embracing the flow. And that's what I just kept on telling myself. Like, you know that you've gone through experiences that felt big for you in the past that have actually been a lot bigger than this. And so you know that you've gotten through them. You know that there's always something to be discovered. There's always going to be a point where you reach where you're just like, that makes sense. I can see now. And so just trusting that I'll be there soon, trusting that I'll be there eventually, trusting that things will make sense. I will be at peace, or I have the potential to create a place of peace within myself with whatever's happening in my life, because I've done it before. So that embracing the flow of change and just putting yourself in complete surrender, right? Which is essentially all you can do when situations like that happen is just surrender to them. You have no control. So those are things. Now, this is where, like I said, there was this like desperation in me to grasp. And so this included in like grasping for signs, grasping for an understanding, like what happened? Where did I go wrong? You know what I mean? Because I was pretty sure that I was feeling what I was feeling and understanding what I was understanding and reading things correctly on that other person's end. And then all of a sudden this just threw me for a loop, right? And so the universe brought me a video on YouTube that was about law of assumption, and it was titled something like Why Things Get Worse Before They Get Better. And I was just like grasping for straws. Yes, sign me up. Let me hear what she has to say. So this video was about law of assumption, which I've strongly, like a strong, I don't know what you would want to call it, like a practice of mine is law of attraction, right? It's very common in the spiritual community. Abraham Hicks, more specifically, is a lot of what I listen to like put myself in a place of alignment. And while law of attraction covers dynamics when it comes to shifting your energy and what it is that you are focusing on and what it is that you don't focus on, right? But then law of assumption takes it to another level in the aspect of like there's this other subtle energy dynamic going on within our subconscious, right? The subconscious, which we all know is much more powerful in all day, in what we're doing all day, in what we're thinking all day, because it's already programmed. We are creatures of routine. And so while I've heard of Neville Goddard and law of assumption, it's not something that I've strongly delved into, but it showed itself to me. And so I listened. And in this, she brings up what's known as self-concept. And if I can find the video, I will link it. So within this, she talks about the old story. And when it comes to self-concept, now there's so many aspects to self-concept. I do not claim to be in any way, shape, or form thoroughly researched on this topic, okay? So this is just me explaining as far as like how I've understood it, and how the way that I've understood it has helped me. That's all I'm doing here, okay? So don't come for me if you are strong in that and have a different opinion. This is just me sharing my experience, please. So the way that I understood it when she mentioned self-concept is attached to the subconscious. So understanding, and the main part where she said where things get bad before they get better. And in this, she's basically saying like, it's sort of like self-fulfilling prophecy. If you understand the concept of that, like something that you fear so badly, that you give it so much power that it shows itself to you. And that's what I felt this was, like strongly, immediately. I was just like, you knew this was going to happen, because it was the biggest fear that I had. The biggest fear that I had in regards to this person that I felt so in love with, was that he would find somebody else and I would feel rejected, which is my story. Brings me to that, to the fear of the old story showing itself to you again. That's my story. That's my subconscious story that I've been replaying to myself since day one. Since day one. That's been my story to myself, is like, although here I am making active efforts to heal big traumatic experiences that I've had, and I've done tremendous work on myself, I've grown a lot. But when it comes to the subconscious, that story is still very, very active in my energy. And law of attraction tells you you don't think about that. But at the end of the day, okay, you can ignore it all you want, but if you're not doing anything to actively change it, it's going to be there. It's the subconscious. You can't just ignore the subconscious and say it doesn't exist. It's not how it works. So while here I am saying, I am loved, I am this, I am that, I feel worthy, I can affirm that all day. But if the subconscious story is there deeply rooted within me, because it's what I expect to happen, because it's what I've experienced before in many aspects of my life, including within my channel, like the feeling of rejection, the feeling of not being seen, the feeling of being overlooked, the feeling of putting all of my into something and not having it appreciated by anyone, of being little, of being invisible, of whatever, just being weird or annoying or whatever the fuck. And so when she's like explaining that self-concept, like, what are you doing? You have to be aware, which also she brings in a concept that she calls mental diet, which is, what is it you're feeding? What are you feeding your mind? Because the mind is going nonstop. Now, mind you, when you're asleep, you have no control, but when you're awake, you have control. And a lot of the times we allow, like, we continue to feed the negative. How often are you feeding the anger, the shame, the guilt, the feelings of being rejected, whatever it is, you know what I mean? The feelings of like, oh no, that probably won't happen for me. I'm probably not good enough. No, I'll probably never see. And then like looking for evidence constantly is essentially vibrating out to the universe. You still don't believe that you're worthy, that you still don't believe that you'll have love, that you still don't believe that you'll be chosen. And so like scouring through her content was helping me realize that while all day, every day, I was doing very active efforts to heal big wounds, like big experiences that were very aware within my consciousness that affected me in a profound way. I was doing everything to heal those big experiences, but not doing anything to change the old story that is in my subconscious, as well as not doing anything to diet what it is that I feed in my brain, because I feed my brain a lot of negative thoughts a lot of the time. It's the fear that I get before pushing record, thinking like, no, that's stupid. Why are you even trying to make a video on YouTube? Like, you know what I mean? I always have those thoughts every single time. And while sometimes they've gotten better, it's been a little over a year since I've had my channel. There are also times that, like when I take long breaks of not doing readings, where those thoughts come, and I will have like a good 20 minutes before I can actually get a reading started, because I'm so in my head telling myself mean things about why I should not be doing this or why I should just not. But yet there's that inclination of me wanting to, right? That's my desire. That's my initial, like my soul wanting to express itself and be shared. And what am I hearing? Okay, I don't know what all that was. I just got scared because we've been having random storms and weird weather here in Texas that I was just like, oh, please don't let it be another one. My anxiety can't handle it. But anyways, okay, so not only was Law of Assumption able to help me very strongly become aware of what my mental diet is, what my old story is, and these can be like different. Like that's my main one when it comes to big manifestations, is the feeling of I feel rejected, I feel unseen, I feel insignificant, I feel not good enough, all of that. That's my main old story. I'm aware of that. I've always known that. I just didn't put attention to it or did anything to change it. And so Law of Assumption helped me understand what that story is, which I'm still finding out aspects of it. Like I said, I'm a very noob to this, but like I was on a clear slate and ready to just like delve in and give it my all, right? Because I was at a place of just feeling lost and grasping. So that's what I did. I just delved into all the research that I could constantly, and then was very strict with my mental diet, with what it is that I was consuming. I couldn't even listen to music. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't record readings. I couldn't do anything like that, like because it was attached to, I don't know, it was just attached to putting me in a weird place that I just couldn't do. And so I just delved into clearing my mind, being very active, aware all day. And it's kind of annoying, to be honest, to be constantly, but it put me in a grounded place finally. And it's what's been helping me, okay? The understanding that not only does it help me become aware of what I'm actually vibrating out there, especially when it comes to the readings, which is why I said like I took a little break from the readings, because I was like scared I was doing anybody harm. Because essentially, like when you go to a reading, if not all the time, if you're going into a reading because you need something from the reading, you need it to confirm something, that's saying that you don't trust it. If you need something from something else, you're giving your power away. Okay? And so that's where I got scared, because I was just in the beginning of learning Law of Assumption. I was just like, shit, like what if I'm doing more harm to people that are trying to manifest big things, and they're coming to look for reassurance that they need to be giving themselves, because essentially what they're vibrating out subconsciously is that they don't believe in themselves enough. They don't believe that they're going to get that thing that they want. They don't believe that the money's coming. They don't believe that the love is coming. They don't, and they're seeking it through confirmation, through a tarot reading, which will just keep you in a place of not trusting it, because when you trust it, you don't need to be looking for confirmation from anything because you already know it's coming. You know what I mean? It's like when you work and you have a paycheck, like you don't need to be like emailing the freaking manager or emailing, what are they called? Human resources, and being like, are you guys gonna have my paycheck, like you're supposed to? You don't worry about it because you know that it's coming. Like, so there's no reason to be looking for validation anywhere, looking for confirmation anywhere. So that's essentially the idea behind love assumption, is this: when you know it's coming, you don't have any reason to think about it because you just know it's coming. You just know my check's going to be there next month. And that's the energy, or that's the story you need to put yourself in, essentially, is changing the old story that says that I fear that it may not happen, that I may not get it, that I am unworthy, that blah, blah, blah. The lack, and looking for that verse, and then switching it over to I already know it's coming, which is difficult, right? It's easier said than done. So that's what I'm saying. It just takes a lot of commitment too, but real change can occur in very actually fast amount of time. For me, like, my mind was in a place where I had done a lot of healing. I had done a lot of like isolation. I had done a lot of like trying to learn into self-discipline since January came in. It's been coming up in the readings, learning strong self-discipline, and this was the moment for me to just like really delve into that. And that's what I did for 3 weeks. Not 3 weeks because I'm still doing it, but I had a change in my reality completely in just 3 weeks, from completely like offering all of my self-discipline into what it was that my old story. And every time that it popped up, every time that anxiety popped up, doing very active steps in calming myself down and letting that go, understanding that that person choosing somebody had nothing to do with me, has nothing to do with me. It doesn't mean anything about me unless I make it mean something about me, if that makes sense. Okay, so like I said, when all of this happened, the first thing, like little things that I could do were like grasping, I just need relief, right? And so one of those was like, what can I do in the moment to feel a sense of fulfillment, to feel just happy, to live my life? What have I been holding off on because I've been waiting for this reality to manifest itself, that I was like putting like actual things that I wanted to do on hold for that before? Like, I wanted to wait for that to happen, and then I'll experience these things, and then I'll take actions on these things. And it's just like, bitch. All you have is today. That was my existential reckoning. There's no waiting for tomorrow, because there is no tomorrow. All there is today. What do you want to experience in life, and what do you have access? Because obviously, like, I want to go to fucking Europe and do all that fun, fancy shit, but that's not in my grasp, in my means to do right now, right? I have no control over that. But what do I have control over? What do I have within my means that I want to experience, that I can experience today and now? And a part of that for me has always been, like, y'all know, love. I want to be in a connection with somebody. I feel like I've done a lot of healing, and I feel like I deserve to experience that. I want to experience that in my life, and I'll never stop trying. And so I was putting that aspect of me on hold. And so, like I said, I took active steps to try to put myself out there a little bit more. This also helped because it put me in a place of just trying to be more confident. Because, like I said, there's that aspect of not being chosen, not being seen, overlooked, not being good enough, not being what somebody's looking for, just being too different, too this, too that. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, no, like, you are who you are. You will never again change who you are to try to accommodate or fit into or nothing, because there's no happiness for me there. I've already experienced that when I was married, and no, we don't do that. So dancing, learning, just embracing my body, right? Embracing what it is that I have to work with, and appreciating that, and helping me feel more confident, for me, put a shift in my energy. And the universe threw me some weird set of circumstances that led me into meeting somebody. And I say it because we met in the most weirdest of ways, in a way that literally would have never happened had things not played out in those ways that I was in a place of this, and that. And so I met somebody and I've been dating, and this person, like, I just have a really good feeling, and it's like shocking to me even to like share that's why I've like hesitated, because like there's this aspect of me that the old story wants to come up and say the other shoe's gonna drop, there's gonna be something, but trust me, I've been searching for the red flag. And then I tell myself, no, you need to just go with the flow. You've had no reason, and I've had no reason. I've had absolutely no reason. There's been absolutely nothing shown to me to think or believe otherwise, other than that there's a lot of compatibility and genuine interest. And I've been going out on dates like crazy, and it's been really nice to be treated good and to just like connect with a person and it be completely mutual on both ends. That was a curveball for me, because I was definitely not expecting that. It was out of nowhere, and like a part of me was doing it to just like distract more than anything, versus actually believing that I was going to find somebody that I actually really liked and had a lot of compatibility with, which is completely different than me in every way, shape, or form. But it just works so well. And I'm really enjoying it. Okay, so that's really like the majority. I probably want to close this off pretty soon. But it brings me back to self-concept. Like I said, the shift that I was able to create completely came from me actively being aware, first of all, of what my self-concept is, which sometimes is like tricky. You know the feeling that comes up, but it's tricky what it is that feeling is essentially saying about your story, your self-concept. And for me, like I said, it's like, okay, I'm telling myself I feel worthy, I am loved, I am this, I am that, and I'm affirming it. But what do I really feel? And the truth about what I was really feeling was, I feel rejected, I feel unseen, I feel insignificant. And because like just acknowledging and stating that out loud, like, it's profound, because that's the moment that then you can do something about it. And so every time I feel those things, because I'm still feeling them and I'm going with the flow, and every time that I feel those fears come up, and no, I put myself, all you have is today. And if you allow those fears to interfere with what it is that you're going to experience today, then you're getting in the way of yourself experiencing beautiful things. If I allow my old story to say, well, what if this and that, and he's just going to be the, you know what I mean? Like, essentially me self-sabotaging, and I've done that a lot. I can see that clearly now, okay? So when I feel those feelings come up, because they still very actively, like, almost on the daily, like, I have, like, little moments where I feel that come up, and it's just, like, it's sort of like an anxiety or fear that, I don't know, like, today is going to be the day he's going to decide to reject me. I don't know what it is in my mind. The old story keeps on wanting to come up, but the new story keeps showing itself to me more. And so, like, what is it that I'm feeding? I keep telling myself, that's your old story. The fears that you have are the old story. And clearing myself and going with the flow. Self-concept is a very powerful thing, because then essentially you put the power within yourself. And that's what I wanted to share today mainly, is just like where I'm at, really, because when it comes to the direction that I'm headed, I'm kind of like scattered. I've been working a lot on painting, because there's a lot of unfinished paintings and projects that I've had in mind that, like I said, when I said, what do I want to do with my life? Each day matters. No more, oh, I can do that next week, I can do that next month. No, if it's something that I feel passionate about, I want to do it today. And I've been putting off this video for a while. So that's why I've been investing a lot of my time into painting. I've been very much enjoying taking a break from the readings, no offense, but and just delving into my art. And I'll soon shift out, because yeah, I get exhausted of doing one thing for too long, I've noticed. So eventually I'll get tired of painting all day and move into doing more readings. But that's what I wanted to share with y'all. I hope that if you watched this whole video that you were able to gain something, or even just be entertained by my nonsense. But if you have any experiences with law of attraction, law of assumption, or self-fulfilling prophecy, things like that, I don't know, just anything that you want to share, I appreciate it. But I'll have a reading for you all soon, and I hope that you all have a wonderful day or evening. Until we vibe again.